Okay, I had a request for a tutorial on cross reduction again. So let's just start with something like 5 over 6 multiplied by 6 over, let's just do 6 over 7. So if this was a question that we had, what we would normally do in terms of our procedure is we would multiply our numerators and we would multiply our denominators, okay? That's what we would get. And we know we would get here 30 over 42 as an answer, and we would have to reduce it from that step forward because both of them are even numbers and can be divisible by 2. However, the consideration we need to think about for cross reduction is what would happen if it wasn't 5 times 6, but rather 6 times 5? The answer is it would be the same answer. We would not change our product in the end. Our result would still be 30 over 42. But because it would be that, what cross reduction asks you to consider is what would the original two fractions have been? And the answer is this is what the question would have looked like, which did not affect the product. So if this was your starting fraction, 6 over 6, we would probably, as intelligent human beings, say, I'm not going to use 6 over 6. I'm going to divide that into lowest terms. Both are divisible by 6. And as a result, I would end up with 1 over 1. And 1 over 1 means that the new multiplication, if that's what I used instead, would not be 6 times 5, but rather 1 times 5 over 1 times 7, which would give me a final answer, of 5 over 7. And interestingly enough, if I was to reduce this fraction here by dividing by 2 to start and say, okay, that works, that's 15 over 21. Oh, that's not lowest terms because both are divisible by 3. That would give me 5 over 7. The exact same answer, but instead of doing your reduction in this part of your expression, all you had to do your reduction was right here at the start. So what that means is, since this happened, going back all the way to my original question, if I back this up way to the very first. So instead of rewriting it, if I just considered, I know that if I swap those numbers, if I put this 6 over this 6, it's not going to affect my product. That's going to be 1 over 1. Then right here, I get my final answer of 5 over 7 without having to do any reduction in the end. That's called cross reduction. So if we look at a different one, let's say 3/5 multiplied by 10/11. All right. Again, how I would solve it would be multiplying my numerators and multiplying my denominators. My answer would be 30 over 55. But because they both end in 0 and 5, I can divide that by 5, divide that by 5. My final answer would be 6/11. If I was to cross reduce that, because I was thinking to myself, this wouldn't change that number right there if I swap those numerators. So therefore, this 10 over 5 would not be in lowest terms. The 10 over 5 in lowest terms is really 2 over 1. And therefore, when I multiply my numerators now, I get 6. When I multiply my denominators now, I get 11. I bypass all of this stuff by cross reducing.